All right. Okay, so I think things are pretty good. That works. That works. Let's get this over here. All right, perfect. Okay. So we had quite the interesting day so far in the stock market. I think some of the biggest news that we saw today since markets opened was what's been going on with companies like Reddit. Reddit is going to join the S&P 500 on August 18th. Quite positive news on that front. So I'm very happy to see this out of Reddit. As a shareholder in Reddit, I'm always excited to see any sort of large bump in the company stock price. It looks like SanDisk is recovering quite nicely as well. I'd imagine this is probably continued good news from the investor day the company recently had, and a lot of developments out of that. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with SanDisk. And congrats on Reddit. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate that. um, but no, it's definitely been an interesting day so far, and a lot of interesting news came out of the markets. Going into NeoClouds, it looks like we're seeing a bit of a correction, at least with CoreWeave down 2.3% on the day, as a result of maybe some corrections and profit taking, given what happened with the company's Q2 earnings report. So definitely some interesting things there. Looking at another popular NeoCloud, Nebius, right now. I think Nebius is up today 7%. So this is actually quite interesting because we have two companies that are in the exact same space doing exact opposite things with the stock price. One of them is up quite a bit today, and another is correcting quite a bit today. This is why I do the fundamental analysis that I do, because one company that's a NeoCloud is in much worse financial health than the other. And the one that's in worse financial health is obviously CoreWeave compared to Nebius. Nebius, however, is approaching 52-week highs. There have been a lot of there's been a lot of attention on the stock. The technicals look kind of crazy for Nebius right now. And then with Nike, I'd imagine Nike might be having another rough day. We'll see. Pretty flat, to be honest, down just a little bit, down about 86 basis points, still sitting at $40 a share. That's probably the support that we're seeing. I saw support for Nike at about $38.5, $39 per share. So given where it currently is at the moment, doesn't particularly surprise me. It's still holding this one for myself. Any long-term ETFs that you would recommend? Honestly, Dark Samurai, VTI, VOO, any of the index funds as well. If you're looking for a long-term ETF. SK Hynix has been shooting up. I wish I got it at 130. I'm not sure if it's still a good value. With a company like SK Hynix, the fundamentals are there. That's the good news for companies like SK Hynix. You can definitely say the same thing about Micron. Micron definitely has strong fundamentals as well, and I know that Micron has been recovering a bit more than SK Hynix has. Needless to say, though, SK Hynix has had a very, very good week. And it's been shooting up since I got it at $130 a share, if it's still good value. To be honest, if you're looking to get out or looking to make a move with your position in SK Hynix at this point, given where it was earlier this week, that would probably be a technical move. A move on the technicals as opposed to the fundamentals. So it's probably worth paying more attention to that as opposed to anything that's going on with the fundamentals. With respect to IREN, it'll be interesting to see what IREN does. And IREN's down 1.3% today. Still a bit expensive for me. It's moving in the right direction though. But what's interesting is that things are diverging with NeoClouds. If you go look at Nebius, they're up 7% today, and CoreWeave's down about 2.5%, which is quite interesting. My favorite CoreWeave hater. Well, Wilt, it looks like the market is agreeing with me today that things aren't looking so good, and at least for CoreWeave for today so far. And I still remain short on my position in the company. So, yeah. Is it time to sell Microsoft? That depends on how you're feeling about your profits. Thoughts on AVGO? Yeah, Broadcom. Broadcom is down 6.4% today. To be honest, I think that this correction was coming for Broadcom. it makes it, this is quite. I mean, I didn't expect it to correct this much. Obviously, it was pretty inflated valuation wise. This is quite a bit though. 6.4% is a pretty big one. So definitely an interesting one. Hey brother, thoughts on AMAT? Applied Materials is my favorite. I love Applied Materials. It's one of my favorite investments. I've held Applied Materials for a very long time. I think it's a solid position, despite what's been going on with the stock recently. And then Evan on YouTube says, trim Reddit at what price? Evan, my target price for Reddit is much higher than it is right now. My target price for Reddit is around $230 a share. I still think there's plenty of room for Reddit to grow. Today was an extremely good day, but that's not necessarily because we saw an explosion in some type of fundamentals or some big technical move. This is just the fact that Reddit replaced some real estate company in the S&P 500. So Reddit's going into the S&P 500 on August 18th. That's why we're seeing such a good day out of it. FRVO, what's your opinion? As far as energy plays right now, I mean, I'd like to see profitable ones. It doesn't look like these guys are. The renewable space is interesting, but it's like if you're an unprofitable renewable utility, you've got a long road ahead of you. Now, geothermal's an interesting corner of the energy market because it's not as popular as something like nuclear or solar at the moment. So in my view, I would have to be very high conviction about this. I'd have to take a look at their balance sheet. I'd have to take a look at their earnings and see what their path to profitability looks like. For me, it's probably a hold. I have some Reddit and want to buy more. Do you think I should buy more? My target price for Reddit, like I just said, $230 a share. That's my position on Reddit. And what do I think of Nebius? I think Nebius is they're losing money. They got a lot of debt. Their earnings was they had some one-off gains in equity investments, which boosted part of their earnings for Nebius. I mean, operating losses still don't look ideal. Compared to a year ago, through 6 months, they're better, but they lost $176 million this last quarter. Not ideal. Plenty of people swing trading APP. What do you think? I don't swing trade. Not a swing trade. Lamb Research, another solid one. And on CoreWeave, Dark Simon, CoreWeave, I'm big short. I definitely have a short position in CoreWeave. Not a fan of CoreWeave at all. As far as Intel's concerned, how is Intel doing today? That's a good question. As far as Intel, they're down 1.5% today. Again, this is too expensive for me. Intel's way too expensive. This stock has a long way to go. The Q2 earnings fundamentals improved quite significantly, which was great. There's still a lot of things to like about Intel. It's very expensive at the moment, in my view. And why is SanDisk doing so well? American Yapper, I'd imagine SanDisk is having another good day today as a result of the investor day they recently had. And as far as AppLovin, if AppLovin is a long-term hold, I'd have to understand their business a little bit more, to be honest. It could be. It very well could be. Looking at things as far as like taking a 30,000-foot view on AppLovin and looking at their base financials, year over year things look very good. Last year in 2025 we had $5.5 billion in revenue on a 63% margin. Quarter over quarter things look decent as well. I'd imagine the company's free cash flow positive. It was bad guidance that really hurt AppLovin. Could be an interesting buy the dip opportunity. They've had a rough year so far. So that's kind of the game. Okay, NNE, Nano Nuclear. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know enough about these guys. It's my first time hearing about them. Nuclear energy, and they've got a Kronos MMR energy system, high temperature gas cooled reactor. And they're in New York. Could be interesting. Could be an interesting play. I'm not super familiar with what exactly their technology is. They've been around since 2022. I'd imagine they're losing a lot of money, but they do have $1 billion market cap. So I'd like to see a bull thesis if you have it. What are my thoughts on brand companies in the future? Conke, are you talking about like SanDisk? Are we talking about like who are we talking about specifically? Thoughts on On? Thought about switching to Nike. To be honest, the thing with On is they've had an extremely good strategy and essentially stealing Nike market share from Nike and capitalizing on Nike's mistakes. They've done a good job of that over the last couple of years. This year, though, the stock just hasn't done that great. It looks like their Q2 results were pretty disappointing, but they're trading at a pretty cheap valuation with a high beta. What this tells me is it may not necessarily be a value trap. You'd have to go look at the fundamentals, though, and have pretty high conviction about it. So we'll see. Hey, are you going to wear an account that looks like you? I know there's a lot of impersonators of me on here on TikTok, Blake, but I appreciate the heads up. They do a pretty good job at taking down the fake accounts. Want to say thanks for all the insight in between questions. Yeah, Maher, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you coming by. I absolutely love doing this with you guys and talking about companies and talking about potential investments. So, and exchanging ideas. That's exactly why I do it. I love doing this stuff. As far as Palantir is concerned, it looks like somebody saw Palantir. My target price to buy Palantir, I need to see a lot of correction out of Palantir. I love the fundamentals of Palantir. What I don't like is the leadership. I've been very vocal about that, and I don't like the valuation. So it's not necessarily Palantir's fault that I'm sitting on the sideline. It's the market's fault. They've had a pretty crazy year, though. And as far as being close to 52-week highs, they're not, like, they're approaching there. Will they get through there? I don't know. We'll see. I'd imagine Palantir may end up correcting a little bit here in the near future, just from a technical basis. But we're looking at 150x. We're looking at 150 times earnings on a trailing 12-month perspective. There's a lot of things to like about Palantir. Would I get in at this price? No. But if Palantir came down to say like $100 a share, I'd be interested. Is that going to happen? I'd say unlikely at best. So we'll see. And then Micron. What do we think about Micron? How is Micron doing today? Okay, we're approaching $1,000 a share with Micron. We nearly hit there this morning. So again, Micron's fundamentals are fantastic. There's a ton of things to love about Micron from that perspective. What I would say with Micron is that it's all about it's guidance that's going to end up moving the company's stock in the future. That also does require some degree of fundamental analysis into the company to determine what your conviction is about what growth rates might look like, as far as margins might look like, and other factors as well. There's still a lot to like about Micron. So what I would say is the fundamentals are there. They're making a boatload of money. Their Q1 guidance, I believe, or no, that was SanDisk that had lower Q1 guidance. So there could be a reason to get into Micron at this price. Now, are we going to see Micron go above $12.50 per share anytime soon? It's possible. I'd imagine there'd probably have to be some type of event or guidance-driven event that's going to make that happen, not some new fundamental news. Thoughts on Hims & Hers? Hims & Hers should be making money, but I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. A lot of regulatory hurdles. Thoughts on Take-Two Interactive getting near 52-week highs? Worth a buy still, or maybe wait? No, I think I like Take-Two Interactive at this price. And the reason why I say that is because I do a deep dive on Take-Two Interactive on my YouTube channel. My target price for Take-Two Interactive, especially going into 2027, is about $285 a share. I haven't updated my DCF model on the last time I looked at their quarterly report. I'd imagine that Take-Two Interactive may end up being worth more than $285 a share, especially after this fall. They're seeing record-breaking numbers for GTA 6 pre-orders, and things are stabilizing and margins are improving in their online spaces as well amongst the other publishing labels. There's a lot to like about TTWO at this price. Thoughts on Reddit moving the S&P 500? Well, somebody who's an active Reddit bull and somebody who's said many times here on stream, I like Reddit, It's a great company. I can't say I'm not mad about this. I mean, they're having a fantastic day, and I think they do deserve to be in the S&P 500. There's a ton of things to like about it. Thoughts on Visa? Supremo, it's a solid defensive play. It's not super exciting, but it's a good defensive play. And what do I think about Nebius? I don't the NeoCloud business model I'm not a huge fan of. And this is this is actually a filing from Nebius right here. Their regulatory filing from the latest quarter. The company did have a lot of very impressive results, especially year-over-year growth. There's no denying that. The one thing, though, is that the company's operating losses are expanding compared to a year ago. The actual raw amount is growing. We're at $120 million in interest expense in the second quarter of 2026 compared to just less than $5 million in interest expense a year ago. They're starting to use a lot of debt. And their income from net income was positive through 3 months last year. Now we're $200 million in the red. Now there's a lot more to take apart as a result of that filing. So I'm not a huge fan of what a lot of neoclouds are doing to grow. There are some that I dislike more than Nebius, like CoreWeave, but still. And right now, as far as Nebius' price is concerned, what's interesting is you guys should go look at those two stocks, at least in today's trading session, and see what's going on. Nebius is up over 6%, and CoreWeave is down around 2.5%. Why is that? They're practically in the same line of business. Thoughts on Tesla? Sushma, I don't get into automotive stocks. I don't buy automotive companies. Too cyclical, too expensive. Yeah. Thoughts on Snapchat? Snapchat, I don't think it's kind of interesting to me to see how Snapchat has just kind of continued to chug along all these years. No, I'm not a huge fan of this company. They're still losing money. There's better social media platforms out there. Snap's dead. Yeah, it's not a huge fan of Snapchat. Why is gold so low, though this is the weakest we've seen the U.S. dollar in a while? That's a good question, Princey Houston. What is gold trading at today? How are we looking for gold? We're at 4,400. Okay. Gold has had a pretty good month. I mean, just on August 3rd right here, we were just at about 4,100 a share. So the price of gold's still going up. Compared to last year, though, I mean, when it was above 5,000 a troy ounce, we may see that again. We may see that again. Oracle, XY, I'm not a fan of Oracle. Not a fan of the credit risk. I don't, and again, I think they're irresponsibly using debt to expand as well. The OpenAI credit risk is a problem for Oracle, 100%. My least favorite hyperscaler by far. And then JMKE from Bryson here. How's Jersey Mike's doing? Yeah, this looks pretty typical. Yeah, immediately after the IPO, things are kind of... I'm staying out of Jersey Mike's, to be honest. It's too expensive. Too expensive. Thoughts on rare earths? I think there are some interesting rare earth companies. I wish there was a futures market for rare earths. But there's still a lot to like about some rare earths. Thoughts on CoreWeave? You're short on it? Yeah, Soy Boy. I did have 2 short positions. I closed one of them. The one that I closed is I shorted at $102 a share and closed it out at 68. And then the other short position that I shorted at 95 a share, I still have open. So that short position I'm down on a little bit. So I made money on one, still down on another. Thoughts on Duolingo? Do we have a ticker for Duolingo? Yeah, here we go. Oh, wow. Ouch. Dang, they're down 6.6%. What happened today? Not a great year for Duolingo. People are concerned about the valuation, evidently. It looks like they have strong fundamentals, too. Let's look. Let's take a look. Wow, they're only at 16x earnings. Wow, look at that. Man. Let's look at things on a quarterly basis. Okay, so profitability was impacted a little bit in Q2. We still had $300 million in sales on $33 million in net income. That's an 11% margin. That's not bad. Looks like we're free cash flow positive and a pretty healthy balance sheet. Interesting. What's so strange? This is interesting. So, and is there a yield? Okay, so this doesn't feel like a value trap. Huh. Interesting. Duolingo, this was a good one. That was a good question. I need to look that up. Justin on YouTube says, open call options on CROD, 2x inverse of CoreWeave. Thoughts? You see retail results in food down 9%. It depends on your strike and your premium, Justin. When do they expire? That's also another factor that you got to take into account. Bull thesis on HD, since people with low interest rates can't afford to move, they'll do home in Reno. Home renovation. Oh, got it. Home reno. The thing is with these guys, Bryson, is that you're gonna have pretty thin margins on Lowe's and Home Depot, which is fine. I think things that are going to have a bigger impact on Home Depot's stock price. Well, how have they done so far this year? Yeah, kind of a meh year. As far as what's going to end up happening with Home Depot stock, I think that they're much more sensitive to changes. Like if there's a lumber price shock or something like this, that can be positive for Home Depot. And depending on what direction that shock is. I'd have to look a little bit closer into it. Home Depot feels a little bit more like a defensive play. I mean, you're getting a 2.73% yield out of them at a 24 PE. I think the housing market and what goes on with the housing market doesn't have a huge... It can move Home Depot stock, but maybe not as much as like other lines of business that they have. Like hard money rates, I think would have probably a bigger impact on Home Depot's movement than something like interest rates on mortgages. A natural disaster, that's another good one as well, yeah. Justin says December 18th is my expiration on my calls. And what's it? CROD? Crota International. Oops, no, this is the wrong ticker. Did I do that right? CROD, 2x inverse of CoreWeave. It's not showing up for me. I mean, Justin, if your position's profitable, like, consider exiting. It's up to you, though. It's an interesting thought, though. Thoughts on AppLovin? AppLovin, I'm taking a look at. I mean, there are a lot of things to like about AppLovin. What happened to them recently, this right here, the bad earnings report, that feels like a bit of an overreaction, to be honest. This could be an IBM style situation. But I need to know more about the business itself to see if that slight miss on their Q2 report was something that was an overreaction or not. Q3, they're saying they're going to have a rebound. It could be a good time to get it. Thoughts on Microsoft? Timu, Microsoft is my favorite hyperscaler. Oh, Justin said CROD is the ticker. Cord. T-Rex 2. Okay, so this ETF, I got it. Well, it's moving in the right direction for you, Justin. So if this inverse ETF of CoreWeave continues to perform, meaning we see continued poor performance out of CoreWeave, and you've got December 18 options, to be honest, I would wait because I still think there's more room to come down on CoreWeave. A lot more room to come down. Then again, though, my bear thesis on CoreWeave is for a longer period of time than just December 18th. Check CoreWeave, it's spiking. How's it doing? Interesting. AAOI. I like the business. It's a cool, as far as like the fiber space and what these guys do. I'm not super familiar with the business. There's things to like about it. I don't like how they're profitable or they're unprofitable. That's something that I'm not a super big fan of. What website is this? This is Yahoo Finance. And as far as Caterpillar's concerned, I know that this is one of Michael Burry's famous short positions. The thing with Caterpillar is that we know that what moves Caterpillar stock is contingent upon which construction projects for data centers are announced. So there's a lot of things to like about Caterpillar. There's a lot of eggs in the AI basket with Caterpillar, though, and this is essentially an industrial stock. It has a high valuation for the line of business that it's in. When it was up here, that was pretty insane. At that valuation, things have calmed down to a much more reasonable level. One thing I really regret about Caterpillar is that I should have gotten into it last year when I did an analysis on it. Around September 25 is when I posted a video here on TikTok about Caterpillar. It's somewhere around $400 a share. And it would have been a home run investment. So, yeah. Did we talk about Nebius yet? Yeah, I mean, if you're in Nebius and you're bullish on Nebius and you were holding shares in the company before the Q2 earnings report, which the market really, really, really liked, these are really good profits to take. I mean, it's not too often that you see this much appreciation in that short a period of a time. So there's a ton of things to like if you're a shareholder in Nebius, and let's say you were a shareholder in Nebius at the beginning of the month, say 2 weeks ago when you got in. That's not a bad day for you. AMTD, its net liquid asset is higher than its market cap. Ooh. Okay. AMTD Idea Group. Is this an over-the-counter play? No. Is this it? Because this is like a micro cap. Capital Market Solutions, China, Hong Kong, Europe, Southeast Asia. Got it. I mean, if they have more cash than what their market cap is, this is probably either vastly overlooked or something that is priced the way it is for a reason. Yeah, it does look like BS. I want to SMCI, value or trap. That's an interesting question. I know they've been under a big legal microscope lately. The fundamentals look quite strong for these guys, though. This is kind of a tricky one for me because I really like what I see as far as the company and its lines of business. There's a lot of things to like about this. All it takes, though, is one piece of bad news for you to have a bad day with this stock. So I don't know. I need to do more homework on this on Super Microcomputer. AppLovin, Franco, it looks like it could potentially be a buy the dip opportunity. Bad guidance and bad results for Q2 doesn't mean it's going to happen again. You got to take a look though at the at the company itself. Take a look at the filings. What about Nvidia? Yeah, how is Nvidia doing today? What makes me nervous about Nvidia is they're essentially approaching some of the world's biggest financiers and trying to come up with Nvidia GPU backed bonds. I don't know if you guys saw the $500 billion plan from Jensen Huang to try and essentially make GPU backed bonds. That's a little concerning. As far as Nvidia as a business, I think it's appropriately valued. There's a ton of things to like about Nvidia. They do a lot of really cool stuff. Its valuation is appropriate, but here's the problem though, is that if this goes through, so if you have like BlackRock and Blackstone sign on, and maybe Goldman will get on it, Morgan Stanley, whatever sort of pension funds get in on essentially underwriting new securities that are backed by NVIDIA GPUs, there's a lot of mental gymnastics that they would have to accomplish in order to justify that. That would be scary. Thoughts on Google? Really like Google. Google's position was I mean, their results were awesome. MP Materials, magnets are an interesting space. I'd honestly rather get into rare earths. I think USAR is a more interesting play than them. Thoughts on EITO Exchange Income Core? I mean, it's probably fine. What sort of assets do they own? Two segments: aerospace, aviation, and manufacturing. Okay. This is such a weird name for a company that does this. Aerospace, aviation, and manufacturing. Fixed wing, rotary wing. Okay, so basically producing helicopters, it sounds like. What a weird ticker, though. Getting a 2.1% yield out of them with a 0.92 beta. That's not bad. That's nice. Really strong year. So they had really strong Q1 results, it looks like. And the market really liked that. I'd have to go look at the filings and see if I like this. Could be a bit expensive, but we'll see. A recommendation for a short-term ETF. I mean, DRAM is a popular one, right? You can get into DRAM and see what you think about that. It's volatile enough, that's for sure. Thoughts on Capital One? Solid defensive play. Not a bad defensive play. How did CoreWeave's earnings look? They did $2.5 billion in revenue, and we saw margin losses come down a little bit. Margins improved slightly, and we also saw a $100 million increase in expenses, in interest expense, quarter over quarter. And they also added quite a bit of debt to their balance sheet since last quarter. So things got even uglier. Seals SQ, please. Joe, I need a ticker. Thoughts on IREN? Too expensive and not a huge fan of NeoClouds. GNTX, Gentex. I've looked at these guys a couple of times. That's right. Okay. Automotive products. Got it. So they do dimming review. Okay. Interesting. Non-automatic dimming rearview mirrors for automatic passenger cars, light trucks, pickup trucks, SUVs, vans for OEMs, auto suppliers, various aftermarket. Okay, cool, interesting. And then they're in the dimmable window. Huh. Could potentially be. How's it been this so far this year? Yeah, this smells like a value trap. Yeah. I mean, here's the 5-year performance of them. This, like, you get a decent yield, pretty low beta, and a low PE. This smells like a value trap, to be honest. So I'd probably pass on them if I'm being frank. Thoughts on APLD? I don't like how they don't make money, Joshua. They should be making money. What's your take on the bubble? Are we earlier or closer to the end? The way I like to describe it, Northern Explorer, is I think we're somewhere in the 6th inning out of 9 innings. Maybe the early 7th inning. As far as the bubble's concerned, we'll see what the market does. Things can continue to ramp up from where they are, but I think it's worth paying pretty close attention to what's going on nowadays. So we'll see, but I'm optimistic, but about some things, very cautious about others, though. Vertiv. It's expensive, to be honest, in my opinion. It's been a pretty good year for them, though. Their fundamentals aren't bad either. Wait, no, this is, yeah. Get these guys mixed up with somebody else and who's stuck in my head. Their financials, I mean, like, taking a look right here, it's pretty good. Good revenue and profitability growth, and the company's balance sheet seems to be in pretty good health. What we need to, it's okay. What I really want to look at, though, is how much debt that actually is. And a good amount of their assets, like the delta between their assets less cash and their liabilities isn't huge. They're probably relying on a lot of debt financing. Again, I'd have to go look at the books. And you're getting $112 billion market cap on what is essentially about $10.2 billion in revenue last year. It's kind of expensive. I think it's probably improved in 2026, but this is expensive. Have I done a deep dive on IBM since the decline? KD, that was supposed to be this week. I was impacted by severe weather, and I lost power for like 2 days. So unfortunately, no deep dive video this week. It will definitely be one next week. I still haven't decided if it's still going to be IBM. I'm looking at another one. And then RIG, Transocean Limited. What's so exciting about these guys? CLSQ ticker is LEAS. Yeah, we'll check it out. Where's this, an oil rig? $1 billion contract with Equinor for harsh environment rigs. Okay, cool. Been a little bit all over the place. SBLK is better than this. It looks like it probably is. All right, now let's go look at these guys that Joe's been asking me to look at. SealsQ Corp. Okay, another microcap play. Semiconductors. All right. I mean, semiconductors such as Vault IC, secure elements, quantum resistance, RZ chips, ARM platform. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So they're only a couple of years old, and I'd imagine that the financials are probably pretty ugly considering how new they are. Yep. Not ideal. So what's the bull thesis behind these guys? Why do you like them? I need to know what the deal is, what the story is. Because to be honest, I'm not really convinced that this is anything special. As far as Ondas is concerned, looks like there's been some rebound from Ondas after their poor, kind of a rough day yesterday. Look, I get why people like Ondas. I get why people like what they do. There are reasons to like Ondas, but the problem I have with Ondas is its valuation. It's a little expensive for drones. I mean, you're getting a $5 billion company on growing contract value and things that are, promising about the company, but it's expensive, man. ESL, okay. Eric wants me to talk Qualcomm. Yeah, we'll look at Qualcomm. Yahoo Finance is only giving me ESLT, Mateo. I don't know if these are the guys you want me to take a look at, but not really sure if this is the right ticker. Thoughts on Reddit going to the S&P 500? I'm very stoked about that. Obviously, as a Reddit shareholder, I'm happy with it today. I still think Reddit has a lot more to grow. I could see Reddit be worth $230 a share. That's my current target price for them. They're somewhere around 180. So still plenty of upside, I think, to be captured on Reddit. Thoughts on Webull going into earnings next week? We'll see, Jacob. I don't follow them that closely, but it could be an interesting play. With respect to Qualcomm, down 20% in the last 3 months. That's kind of interesting, to be honest, because this isn't something that I would expect out of them, given the fact that they're a major player in the semiconductor space. But then again, semiconductors really haven't had that great of a great quarter. So as far as whether or not it's a good idea to get into this company at the moment, it could be. It could be. The thing is with Qualcomm is they're in a crowded space and they're in a popular space. So what differentiates them? It's their moat that I'm interested in with Qualcomm. As far exactly how deep and how wide that moat is and what exactly that's comprised of, we'll see. Do I think it has a path to upside? Are we talking about Qualcomm still? I mean, yeah, it probably does, but you'd probably have to have a lot of conviction about this. Path's a ticker. Let's see. Essilor-Luxottica. All right, Mateo. Jeez, man. Okay, is this the one? I think these guys are French, right? Yeah, they're the lens company. And they're in Paris. A solid defensive play. It's been a rough year for them, of course. We could see a run up with them. For now, it feels like a good defensive play. PE still sitting at 30 though. I don't know, Mateo. You'd have to have a pretty strong bull thesis about this though. I'd like to know what your bull thesis is. That's for sure. Thoughts on Google? Google's fantastic. Really, really solid. My second favorite hyperscaler. Their results were amazing. CSU and ATD. Constellation Software in Toronto. Is this who we're talking about? D. It's not a bad business by any means of the imagination. I like what they do with respect to. The thing is with Constellation is that I think that there probably is a decent amount of upside with these guys, but the problem is I'm not fully convinced of it. I know that there are people who are better informed than I am about this company. It feels expensive, though. It feels a little bit expensive. But if somebody has a good bull thesis for them, I'd love to know what it is. I'd really love to know what it is. I bought them at 2,500, so I'm happy. Well, then you had a good year so far. Definitely had a good year. So it's probably paying close attention to the technicals to protect your investment. That's what I would think. If only you had to hold which one, Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, which would it be? Probably Microsoft. But to be honest, you can't go wrong with Google either. I mean, they're very, very close to each other. I give Microsoft a slight edge just because of growth in Azure cloud services. Google's very impressive, though. So is Amazon. They both had fantastic second quarters, so there's things to like about all of them. SoFi, LA, I think SoFi is a little bit boring. UUU bought in yesterday morning. Energy Fuels Inc. Okay. What are they? What sector? What part of the energy sector? Burning value. Oh, uranium. Okay. Mining isn't my favorite. I mean, I know that they. Not my favorite, to be honest. USAR, Julian. I think it's an interesting play. You think Avgo can sink more? It's down due to more system flaws. Yeah, it absolutely can come down more. I mean, it's Broadcom's kind of expensive, and if that's why they're down 6% today because of some system flaws, then that'll kind of give you the answer as to what's going on with them. It's still kind of expensive. Like I would rather get into like a Lam or Applied Materials or something like this. Micron would be another good one. ATD. Alimentation Couche-Tard. Interesting name. I probably mispronounced that. That's fine. Okay, another Canadian consumer cyclical. Convenience stores. Yeah. All right. Okay, so they got Circle K, Ingo, and others. Got it. And they've got a whole bunch of brands all over the world. And how have they done this year? Pretty good. Well, they had a very, very strong Q2 earnings, it looks like. Or Q2 earnings. Sure. I mean, I'd have to know like what the growth plan is though, because with companies like this, especially if they don't own their own real estate, or if they don't own all the real estate assets, then it becomes a development game at that point. If they do, it could be interesting. I don't know. I'm not like it seems okay. It feels appropriately priced. Tried to buy 7-Eleven. I know the Japanese aren't going to sell the 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's too valuable. No problem, D. Happy to help. Okay, FDS. This ticker, FDS. Oh, FactSet. Nice. Pretty bumpy year. FactSet, I think they're in a really, really good position. I love the data services that they provide. They're almost kind of one of one in many ways, and there's a lot of things to like about FactSet. But as far as having them as an investment at the moment, how exactly they make money, I need to be more familiar with. But the financial services that they provide are invaluable in a lot of ways. So what that probably means is that as far as growth being priced in, they've probably captured a lot of the growth that they could get in. So I'm not like probably a really strong moat, probably not a ton of growth. I'd like to know what the plan is, though. Like, if there is more growth, like if they're going to try and bump elbows with Bloomberg or something like this, that would be interesting. I don't know if they want to do that though. That sounds like an expensive fight. That probably means that there's not a ton of growth, and that probably means the market didn't. Market's like, yeah, it's not huge. Keel, I'm not a huge fan of Keel. Did I share my opinion on EU stocks that are underrated? Novo Nordisk, I think, is. NVO, Novo Nordisk is definitely underrated. I think Rheinmetall might be another one. Thanks, KD. You too. My favorite energy play? If I had to pick, it would probably be Constellation Energy, if I had to. It's exciting. I think the nuclear space is exciting. The regulatory hurdles make me a little bit nervous, but these guys basically own a lot of the electric utility in a lot of markets in the U.S., which is a great. It's a good buffer. I think they're making interesting moves. Vistra or Constellation. you're probably going to get more movement out of the stock in Vistra, but the margins and the fundamentals on Constellation are probably a little bit stronger. Do you think CoreWeave can touch 120 next week? Hopefully not. Which bank do I recommend? I like JP Morgan. My millionaire? No, Harrison, I'm not. Let's see. What else? RDW. Yeah, Redwire. Redwire is a pretty popular one. A lot of people have been paying attention to what's going on with Redwire. They're like a lot of companies in the AI development space, or at least the data center space, they're very contingent upon what their backlog looks like. When people say, okay, they're under a contracted backlog of $542 million, that's likely defined as remaining performance obligation in their filings. How they view remaining performance obligation, or what exactly that means, probably adds a lot of small print to what actually contracted backlog is. This isn't today's earnings. This is not today's earnings. And an unprofitable company is worth $3.4 billion because of it. Now, does that mean that their fundamentals are weak? Not necessarily. From the income statement side of things, it doesn't look good. Can tell you that much. And it looks like they've had to dilute shareholders a bit. And you're buying a $3.4 billion company on $117 million in revenue. So as far as the path to profitability for them, that's what I want to know, and I want to know what their mode is given the market. When did I start investing? I've been investing for 15, 16 years now. So when I was a teenager. Why do I think Rheinmetall is undervalued? They did have a big pullback. That's part of the reason why I think Rheinmetall could be interesting. I think Rheinmetall is probably the one European defense contractor that I think is best positioned to take advantage of potential future budget increases. Hang on, I think they're in Barron's. I'd have to go do more research on their ticker, but I think it's an interesting opportunity. Adobe is one I'm doing more homework on. Adobe feels more and more like a value trap, to be honest. You're at $100 billion valuation. No, there's no dividend. The beta's okay, but you're at I don't see Adobe breaking out above, say, 300 anytime soon, if I'm being completely frank. This has not been a great, it's not great, to be honest. You'd have to have a pretty high conviction about where they're going to move from here, though. Life on the line. What stock am I investing in right now? Oh, geez. And what, I have to be right, meaning it goes up, otherwise I'm unalived? Is that the question, Matthias? What do you think about Weinerberger AG? Pretty much. Matthias, I'd probably choose Apple. Then it's CoreWeave. Yeah, no way. No way. Adobe is fundamentally good, but the consumer opinion of them is horrible. That doesn't help. See, that doesn't help, and that's why I'm not a big fan of them. Weinerberger AG is not popping up here on Yahoo Finance. Let me try again. Oh, wait. Is this them? This looks like it's them. What website is this? This is Yahoo Finance, Mark. Wall facade and roof systems for 2 single multifamily homes and non-residential construction and electrical cooling and heat installation. Okay, so they're they're basically installing subsystems for buildings. It looks like maybe in the construction game, building materials. Yeah. Let's go look. Yeah, I can't look at their fundamentals on Barron's. They're not popping up here. Let's check here and see what their results have been. I don't love this chart right here. Not that impressive, if I'm being honest. From a quarterly point of view, how do things look? Yeah, I'd probably pass. I'd probably pass on these guys. Go away. I mean, I'm sure you're looking at this like, oh, they've been beat up a lot. They've got a 4.6% yield. Valuation's reasonable. Like, things are probably going to go great for them. I don't know, dude. I'm not a huge fan of this. Do you already talk about SanDisk or semis? We did briefly look at SanDisk earlier. SanDisk has had a really, really good day today after another solid day yesterday. So, I mean, maybe memory's back. We'll see. There's a lot of things to like about SanDisk. I definitely won't lie to you. Have you noticed positive outcomes after forward splitting of a stock? I mean, net, not really. Unless you can think of a specific example where that is in fact the case. Nick, appreciate the gifts, man. Thank you. Thoughts on Applied Digital? Not a fan. They should be making a lot of money, but they're not. That's a problem. Do AMRZ. Amrise Limited. I don't think I've heard of these guys. Who are these? Building materials. Okay. Various building solutions for infrastructure, commercial, residential in North America and Canada. Cool. Building materials and building envelope. Cement and aggregates, ready-mix concrete, asphalt, and other construction materials. Okay. Based in Zug, Switzerland. Okay. As far as the look from Barron's is concerned, steady revenue, steady profits over the last couple of years. Some free cash flow negative years. Balance sheet health seems to be doing okay. Yeah, I mean, you're $3.5 billion in revenue on a 13.67% margin. Yeah, I mean, again, as what would cause a breakout with this company's stock price, I'd want to go look at this earnings report and see what it said exactly. I'm sure guidance is what moved these things, because it doesn't appear to me that there's massive quarter-over-quarter fluctual changes in this stuff. So I'm not like, and then here's the 1-year performance. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of him. Not a huge fan of this. Unless you know something that I don't and you're willing to bolster your bull argument or your bull thesis for these guys. We'll see. Can we look at Path? Yeah. UiPath Incorporated. Robotic Solutions in the UK, US. Oh, yeah, I remember looking at these guys a couple weeks ago. Integrated enterprise software platform that enables agents, robots, people, and models to work together in coordinated workflows. Process organization, process intelligence. Interesting. Okay. And they're in New York City. And their infrastructure software, it looks like, as far as financials are concerned, on a quarterly perspective, they had a strong Q3 2025. Things have just kind of deteriorated a little bit since. I don't know if that's a symptom of being cyclical or not. Balance sheet health, how does this look? Not bad. So my guess is that they raised a lot of money from investors. There probably isn't a ton of debt. And depending on what their beta is, what's their beta? 0.96. That's actually a lot lower than I thought it would be. That means their cost of capital probably isn't too bad. What else? Yeah, they can easily pass the acid test. They've got more cash and equivalents than liabilities, which is good. And so far, have they been free cash flow positive in 2026? Probably not in Q2. Or maybe. Yeah, so maybe they have. Could be interesting. Could be. They did not have a good day today, though. So the question is why? They've Q2 27 results on September 3rd are highly anticipated regarding annual revenue growth and operating income. Okay. Could be a good earnings play on these guys. I don't know. Rockpoint Gas Storage. I'm all in on them. Natural gas storage in Canada. Kinibo, I need a ticker. Give me a ticker. I think they're buying a data center building or parent company. UiPath is? Is that who you're talking about, Tim? As far as Robinhood's concerned, Robinhood is an interesting play. They were like, as far as where their future price movement could look, I could see some additional upside with them. I got to take a closer look at the fundamentals for Robinhood, but it could be good. It could be a good play. I'm more excited by Robinhood than I am by SoFi, for sure, 100%. So for those of you who ask about SoFi, I'd say this is more interesting play. But I have a big stake in Nike. Yeah, Nike's an interesting one. I'm bullish on Nike, as unpopular as that is. But, we'll see. All right, Rockpoint Gas Storage. Someone's all in on these guys. This is a small cap. I take it. It says that your utilities. What exactly does their profile say? Infrastructure facilities, utilities producers, pipeline operators, and power generators, LNG, institution, and commodity traders. Interesting. And they're in Calgary. Okay. So $3.5 billion market cap, nearly a 5% yield, which is good. Let's go look here on Barron's and see what things have looked like so far. Not great quarter over quarter. That's bad. Balance sheet is bad. And you're all in on these guys. Why? What's exciting about this? As far as what happened to Avgo, I think Broadcom had some systems that were down, which is why they're down 6% today. At least somebody said that in the chat earlier. Yeah, Rockpoint Gas. I mean, look, if they're natural gas is the future. Okay, so all right. If your entire thesis on investing into a company with this performance lately is that natural gas is the future, I think you need to revisit your thesis. You could see some appreciation in their stock. Things could move quite a bit. What does their beta say on Barron's? Yeah, it's not applicable. Don't have it. This is quite a big movement in this company year over year. Pay close attention to it, but that's a weak thesis at best. Because natural gas is the future. I mean, that's not enough. Can we check Zscaler? Yeah, I mean, it's my thing with here's my thing with NeoClouds. There's a lot to like about some of them. I think there's going to be winners and losers. Oh, and wait a second. No, this is not. Zscaler is not a NeoCloud. I apologize. I got them mixed up with someone else. This could be an interesting play. I mean, yeah, cybersecurity play. Fiscal CapEx guidance, a high single-digit range of revenue. Okay. How have they done so far this year? Yeah. What's the bull case for Zscaler? What do we like about them? Maybe delusional, but SK Hynix, could it be by 250 by the end of the year? Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think we'll see about that. AMD. Wow, AMD did have a good day. Surprising. I don't get it. I don't get why people like this so much. Why would you buy stock in AMD when you can buy stock in NVIDIA? You were wrong about CoreWeave. I was wrong about CoreWeave on one position that I have that's still open. On another, I made money on. And I'm wrong so far. I had a feeling the markets were going to react positively to the CoreWeave news. They didn't have a great day today, though. And then Dr. Octopus on YouTube says, what do we think about IonQ? I think it's early for Quantum, but I really, really like what's going on with Quantum. Like long term, I'm bullish on Quantum. Right now, it's too much of a money pit. But Rigetti, IonQ, interesting companies. Really like what they're doing. I think that the commercial use cases for quantum computing will be revealed to people over time. Costco back to 1,000. I'd have to look at the technicals, Rob. As far as Costco right now, the price that it's at, this feels appropriately valued, to be honest. So if we get a pop over to $1,000, that there's going to be that's going to be event driven, right? There's probably some news article or some type of something that would be positive for Costco's stock price is probably what would move it. I don't see it, to be honest. I'd have to take a closer look at the technicals, but this is a pretty I think it's fairly valued at the moment. So I think it's a good hold. JP Morgan, yeah, Carlos, my favorite financial at the moment. I mean, I'm probably never going to sell my shares in it. I think SanDisk can reach 2,000 or not. I think we'll probably see correction before we hit 2,000, especially what's happened over the last couple of days. So what do we like about S&P Global? What's so popular? But like, what do we like about them, Nate? Because I understand what they do, and I understand all of the services that they provide. But you know, do you see a breakout going? What's going to happen? I mean, why do we like them? Fundamentals. Yeah, we're at 25 trailing 12-month PE. Got a little bit of a yield there, and we're sitting at a beta of 0.87. That's not bad. To be honest, it feels a bit like FactSet. Like it's probably a decent play. As far as a massive breakout's going to be concerned, could it get pop up above 500 per share by the end of the year? Maybe. But you'd have to go look and see what the guidance was last quarter and see what they say about how next quarter could look. They're probably going to have a massive beat in order to have a pop in this stock. Do I see that happening before the end of the year? To be honest, no. It's not insanely overvalued, though. So the growth story, I think, is what you really got to pay attention to and see if this is what's gonna move things for S&P Global. Long-term hold? Yeah, that's fine. Take on Vistra, pretty thin margins, but they're in the right space. Go look at Zeta. Yeah, how is Zeta doing? Down a bit. To be honest, Zeta isn't something that's super exciting to me. I know that their partnerships with Palantir and OpenAI is what really got people excited about them lately. I'd need to see a pretty strong bull case. SoundHound AI. Interesting space. But I know they had a pretty good earnings report, did they not? Yeah. I think that, yeah, they had a good earnings report. As far as the company itself is concerned, it's expensive, to be honest. Like $3.3 billion just for what they do. Ugh. Not a huge fan. Thoughts on SoFi? Jacko, I think SoFi's boring. Like, is SoFi going to break out above $25 a share anytime soon? I don't see it. I mean, they've been hanging out at like between 15 and 19 bucks a share for a long time. Like, this isn't like, come on, not that exciting. Dr. Octopus on YouTube says, what about Zillow? Take a look at Zillow. Yeah, I know Zillow has not been popular as of late. Yeah, pretty rough year for Zillow. Too expensive. Way too expensive. I think that for what they do, they'd probably make a lot more money if they did. I think the right move for Zillow may be getting into the lending game. Too expensive though. I don't like. Are they going to get back to where they were back in January, February anytime soon? I don't see it. I really don't see it. And hey, Andrew, top 5 requirements for long-term investment stocks. Faye, as far as requirements are concerned, what do you mean by requirements? Like, what exactly are you talking about? Are we talking about fundamentals of the company? Are we talking about like metrics like PE ratios, yields, betas, prices, that kind of stuff? Technical factors? Like, what are we referring or what are we talking about? ASTS, user 763, too much execution risk for me. I get why people like it. Someone did send me an interesting bull case for it. It's a bit too much execution risk for me, though. And to be honest, I don't trust the staying power of their moat as much as others. Then Faye says, top 5 requirements for long-term for fundamentals. As for fundamentals for long-term holds, profitability is one. I'd like to see strong profitability, strong quality of revenue and earnings. So that means the company's expenses are predictable, controllable, well explained by management. The company's revenue, they have a diverse and wide pool of creditworthy customers. And another fundamental I like to see is minimal debt. That's another one. PE ratio and growth potential. I mean, that's fine as well, but that's more of a metric as opposed to fundamental. The best quantum stock, Philippa, I'd say is probably Rigetti. I like RGTI. But again, I think it's early for quantum. And Nate says, is AppLovin oversold? It could be, Nate. It very well could be, especially what happened with them recently. This could have been an overreaction. I need to go look at their books more. I need to go look and see what their management is saying about the business. I need to do a full DCF analysis on them I need to test different scenarios of what growth looks like. The problem, I suspect, with AppLovin is their beta, given how much equity financing they rely on, could have a big impact on things. And revenue growth is insane. Yeah. Quality of revenue earnings like CapEx, customers, minimum debt, okay. Interesting take. Thoughts on Cheesecake Factory? Way too big of a menu. Way too big. Probably a decent defensive play, though. Our investors are buying Bloom Energy because there's major deals to supply energy to AI data centers. Your thoughts? I think with Bloom Energy, it probably got overbought earlier this year. There was a lot of hype with Bloom, especially going into the second quarter. There's probably a lot of people that made a good amount of money on Bloom Energy, but as far as going back to above that $300 per share level, Hard to say. It's very expensive right now. Very expensive. I mean, we're at 295x earnings from a trailing 12-month perspective. That's a lot for an energy play. I get that they're carving out a nice niche for themselves. I understand that their cell technology is interesting. But it's expensive. You need to have really high conviction about these guys. That means understanding their technology inside and out. Thoughts on Uber? I know that Uber had a lot of eyes on it recently and probably still does because of some politicians getting in on it. I get why people like Uber. I get that there's decent fundamentals there. Are they going to break out as far as like say above $90 a share or something like this? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, what would be interesting about Uber is if they bought like Grab or they acquired someone, if they horizontally expanded. That would be interesting. And getting into different markets would be interesting. But is that going to happen? We'll see. Is Reddit long-term hold for you like Apple? Calm, it depends. It depends. If Reddit can do well for the next several years and expand and deepen its moat, meaning it gets into other lines of business, meaning it takes market share from other companies and also makes its revenue in other ways other than just advertising, maybe. For now, I'm very bullish on Reddit. But as far as holding them as long as I'd hold Apple, which is basically forever, I don't know. It kind of depends on them. In this AI bubble, where do you think we're currently headed to? In memory, clean power? Would Amazon be a good all-around stock for quantum computing too? And what are your thoughts on entry price? As far as Amazon's concerned, and as far as its price, I think that Amazon's at an interesting valuation. I think it's at a good valuation. It's certainly an attractive one. I'd call it about the middle of the pack as far as hyperscalers are concerned. But if you want quantum exposure, I would not necessarily get into Amazon. I think that IonQ and Rigetti are probably better plays for that, despite the fact that they're weaker fundamentally. So, I'd rather do that if you're interested in quantum. As far as an entry price for Amazon, I don't think this is a bad entry point. I really don't. Thoughts on Meta? It's all right. Their Q2 results were pretty disappointing, and Mark Zuckerberg's letter, that whole open essay that he wrote, was weird. It was weird. When I read that, it was like, this guy doesn't get it. So, Coinbase. Yes, we can check Coinbase. We can also check OKLO. Coinbase Global. Yeah, I mean, look, cryptocurrency isn't something that I follow as much as I should. What's going on with Bitcoin, I think, is definitely being overshadowed by what's going on with AI. Coinbase's fundamentals seem okay, despite the fact that it's losing money quarter over quarter and its balance sheet quality is deteriorating a bit. I'd love to know what this is. There was a $2.7 billion financing outflow in Q2 26. Was that a buyback? Let's actually look and see. No. Maybe not. I don't know. So I need to know what that is. I'd also need to know, what my thoughts, like how I feel about Bitcoin. I don't have super strong thoughts about Bitcoin, to be honest. Can we check Universal Technical Institute? Yes, we can. Yes. I know you've been asking for a while, Maddie. And I believe, yeah. Okay, yeah, they're out of Phoenix. Probably appropriately priced. I don't know what happened with them, though. What happened right here? Kind of ugly. could be an interesting entry point. I'm not sure though. So let me go look at the fundamentals, and then Raw UX. I see you too. Thank you very much for the roses too, by the way. As far as their pretty thin margins. I don't know what happened. They probably had some bad news. This isn't. It's not ideal. They're not making a ton of money, but they're not really losing it. I'd want to know what happened right here, so I'd have to go check and see news cycles and see what happened. It looks like a downgrade, maybe. Or no, maintains. Okay, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, thoughts on Netflix. Here are my thoughts on Netflix. Netflix is here's my thing about Netflix. Their Q2 earnings weren't bad. They had a revenue beat, earnings miss. The management's guidance, though, was the bad part. That was the really bad part. They moved the goalposts on what they are doing as far as measuring success as far as user engagement and customer metrics. The problem with Netflix is they have a content and a price problem. And most people are unhappy with Netflix either because of what they're seeing or because of how much they're paying. That's kind of my take around Netflix. This Q1 was really bad. This, in my opinion, was worse because of the guidance that changed. I'm sitting on the sidelines with Netflix. I want to like Netflix. It's at a reasonable valuation. They have to pick which problem, though, is more important to them, the content problem or the price problem. And whichever one they address first, they need to go all in on before they fix the other. So am I getting Netflix at this price? Probably not. I'm going to sit on the sidelines and see what happens. Where did you read guidance and if it's bad or good? They said it in their own letter. Go read the Q2 letter. Jackson on YouTube says, thoughts on Reddit after day? I already bought a position. I've steadily been adding. Time to stop and hold. Jackson, I don't think so. Go watch my YouTube video on Reddit. I'm very bullish on Reddit. Reddit still, despite it having a very good day, this company still has a lot more upside to capture, in my opinion. There's a ton of things to still like about Reddit. Their fundamentals are absolutely fantastic. What stocks do you think are the best entry right now? Honestly, Nate, this is a pretty good one. Even after going up 12.5% today. Do I still hate CoreWeave? Yes, I do. Things got worse for CoreWeave, despite the stock moving in the opposite direction I wanted it to. I'm still short on CoreWeave. Definitely still short on CoreWeave. Bill Ackman just bought over 3 million shares of Netflix. Well, Jahander, you should also go look at Perishing Square's performance this year because it's been dreadful. So just because Bill Ackman is getting into a big position doesn't mean that there's going to be a massive movement in the company's price. What do you think about Roblox? I know that Roblox is in some hot water legally with P3DOs being on the platform. I did make a video a couple months ago about Roblox. Been a bad year for them though. Yeah, I know that user engagement on Roblox is still a problem. I know the company is addressing that, but I don't know. Yeah. Thoughts on NeoClouds? Not bullish. Not bullish on NeoClouds. There's going to be winners and losers of NeoClouds, but not bullish on them. NMIH. Who are these guys? NMI Holdings. Okay. Financial services. Oh, okay. Mortgage guarantee insurance and insurance services. Outsourced loan review services to mortgage loan originators. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, so very low PE, low beta. Good year, though, for them. Interesting. Looks like they had strong performance. Let's go look at their Let's go look at their fundamentals here really quick. Quarterly, not bad. Huh, okay. Yeah, 56% margin on doing review services for mortgages and providing mortgage insurance services. Interesting. Could be an wow, okay, they're at 5-year highs. I'd like to see a bull thesis for it, considering they're at 5-year highs at the moment, because that's pretty big. Filippo says new scale. What about new scale? I want to like it. I don't understand the whole reactor play. I don't get. I need to understand that more. I need to have a better understanding of what the business is and how that actually works, because there could be, like, I could understand why people have a very, very high conviction about it. The technology is something that I need to have a better grasp of. SanDisk making a comeback. I'm still down 30%. Ooh, we're down 30% even at these levels. Damn. I don't know. It might be a while. Thoughts on Nike? I'm bullish on Nike, as unpopular as that is, eh? I like Nike. And a lot of people don't. And I get why they don't, but I'm bullish on them, and I have my reasons. NMH, 9x earnings, strong ROE, book value compounding, buybacks, high-quality mortgage book. That helps. I'll go check out their filings. I'll add them to my list. It's the 5-year high that makes me a little concerned. That might not be a factor, though. Maybe not. Thoughts on Pepsi? It's a solid defensive play. There's a lot to like about Pepsi. It's just like you're gonna see, yeah. So you get a 0.36 beta, which is solid, a PE below 20, and a 4.2% yield. This is a defensive cyclical play all day. Hasn't had a great year, but this is what you get when you invest in Pepsi, and since it began trading back in the 80s. So, is it the most exciting thing? Is it Nvidia? No, absolutely not. A solid defensive pick, though. Dr. Octopus on YouTube says, what do you think about TXG? I believe this could be big with AI seeming solid for the future. TXG, yeah, let's go look at that. 10x Genomics. This looks familiar because people have asked me about these guys before. Is this bio? Is this a biotech play? Single cell portfolio that enables analysis for individual. Yeah. It could be. I don't understand the technology, and I don't understand their business well enough to know. Like, I need to get a better grasp on their business, if I'm being honest. So I definitely need to, and that takes a long time to understand what exactly quantum scale single cell RNA methylation kits means. A spatial analysis platform that uses high-density DNA arrays to encode the physical location of biological analytes within a sample. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I'm not in this field. So I'd feel more comfortable investing in a company if I knew what that is. I don't know if I'm going to spend the time doing all that to buy stock in this business. Thoughts on MP Materials? Ollie, the magnet, it's an interesting play if you want magnetic exposure. I think USAR is a more interesting play. I think rare earths is a better play. Do I like RGTID? I do. Just not enough to buy stock in them yet. Their income statement's pretty ugly. Pepsi are great, but I also think Celsius is underpriced. Thoughts? No, Mohammed. I think that Celsius is showing signs of problems, to be honest. Their Q2 earnings I mean, they missed over 50 million on revenue, and the beverage business is brutal. If you have good marketing and distribution, you're in a good spot. I don't know, man. There could be signs of actual fundamental weakness with Celsius. You're paying a lot too. This is a premium for sure. 126.5x earnings. Yeah. What have your annual returns been in recent years, Jake? It's been around 22% since COVID, since like 2021, around there. But could we see Pepsi hit 145 to 160 this year? They came back $4 this week. Yeah, and I mean, yeah. I don't know if that's going to be because of fundamental news, though. Like, could it happen before the end of the year? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's less likely that will happen than it staying where it is. That's kind of my position on that. So, I mean, if you like Pepsi and you like the stock and you like the yield, then yeah, go for it. Thoughts on Visa for the long term? Solid. It's a solid defensive play. And Nebius, I'm not. So as far as Nebius is concerned, I think we're going to see investors take profits at these levels. This is kind of insane. It's very expensive. I have this is their filing right here for Nebius that I was looking at earlier. Their revenue performance has been good. Margins are deteriorating a little bit, and they're relying a lot more on debt. And as far as AI cloud revenue is concerned, it's kind of an expensive place, and I'm just not bullish on neoclouds in general because of hyperscalers. So no, I don't like Nebius. Especially not at this price. I may even short Nebius, to be honest. Any technical stock that's worthwhile being in the medical field, maybe a software company? Dr. Octopus on YouTube asked that. I'd say go look at ISRG. That could be an interesting play. I love the moat, love the company, love what they do. It's a little expensive for me. My target price for them is lower than what it is. But there's a lot to like about what Intuitive Surgical does. The valuation's a little bit high for me. I want to buy a ton of stock in this company. It's just a little bit too much. Do you foresee a correction in August or September? Ryan, are you talking about the market overall or what specifically? Which stock do I believe in the most? I don't know what you mean by believe in the most, meaning like what I'm going to hold on to the longest, or what I think is going to go up in the shortest period of time. I don't know what you mean by that. Which platform do I use to see all this? This right here, we're looking at Yahoo Finance right here. Over here, for those of you guys on TikTok, I know you guys can't see it. This is just SEC filings that I've pulled up. And then this right here is Barron's. And all of you guys can go look at this stuff. You don't have to pay to look at any of the things that I'm looking at. Thoughts on ASML? Incredible moat. I think regardless of what ends up happening with the AI space, these guys are still going to be. I mean, the lithography game is one of the hardest in the world to get into. So the staying power of this company is insanely good. And regardless of what ends up happening, I still think they're always going to be irrelevant. The valuation's a little bit stretched at the moment. The fundamentals are extremely strong, though. And you're welcome, Kelm. Thanks for stopping in. Really appreciate it. Did you ever look into Drone Shield? I think it's very interesting. Is that a company, Milan, or what are we talking about? Do you have a ticker, or like are we talking about Ondas or what? And thoughts on Google? Google's my second favorite hyperscaler. There's a ton to like about Google at this price. Look at the stock. I need a ticker for Drone Shield, though. DROAX, Drone Shield Limited. These guys. DRH. I think this might be the same one. Counter drone hardware and software technology, US, Europe, Asia, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, so they're probably losing a lot of money. Can I even look at their fundamentals on... Yeah, I can. DRO here. Drone Shield Limited in Australia. Geez, very expensive. Are they profitable? It looks like, but this is outdated data. I'd have to go look at their updated filings. I don't know. You'd have to have a pretty high conviction about this. I don't know, like, what's their moat? What separates them? What's their secret sauce that makes them different? How can they... Who could potentially do... Like, who could come into this space and do the same thing as them? What makes you stay with Apple? Fully long-term committed? What keeps the drive going, staying as a loyal customer? As far as Apple's concerned, the staying power of Apple is too... Here's the thing. Apple's going to be around, like, after my grandkids are gone. I don't think Apple's going anywhere for a very, very long time. The company's too important. They sell too many important stuff. Their product, like their distribution, their IP, their brand value, their earnings, everything they sell is it's here for a while. Whether it's overvalued at the moment or not, I'm still hanging on to my shares. Always going to be hanging on to my shares. They got a whole year of U.S. defense contracts, and they are an early in counter drone technology. Okay. What kind of contracts and with who? They get cost plus contracts, or are we looking at IDIQ fixed price orders from the government? Because that's an important distinction to make. Have a look at Viva Systems. Yeah. How is Viva doing? We're 243 a share. Kind of been over the place. A very good second quarter. And I believe they're in software. Cloud-based software for the life sciences industry. Got it. Viva Vault CRM suite for pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Okay. That's probably a pretty hard niche to get exactly right, just because if Salesforce or ServiceNow could get into this space, we probably would have seen it from them, which means that they probably have a decent moat. How do their fundamentals look? Pretty good, not bad. Nice. That's a healthy balance sheet too. And we're looking at $882 million in this quarter on a 30% margin. Not bad. So for Viva, I think it's the growth story. How are they going to grow revenue, and where do they see the most growth? Where are they going to expand the most margin? There's probably things to like about Viva, for sure. Which platform do you use to read all this info? Is it a paid site? No, guys, this is Yahoo Finance right here that you're looking at. This site is Barron's right here. They're both free. You do not need to subscribe to them to go look at them. What's up with the Avgo? Sasha, I think that Broadcom had some systems that went down today. I mean, they were overvalued anyway, but what are my top holdings? Raw UX, my top holdings at the moment are, I think Applied Materials is the biggest position in my portfolio, and then Apple. But I also have sizable positions in Reddit, Take-Two Interactive, Lockheed Martin, and JP Morgan. All right, guys, we'll look at one more. We'll do ITRN. Okay, who are these dudes? Ituran Location and Control Limited. Okay, interesting. They're an Israeli firm with subsidiaries, provides location-based telematics and services, machine-to-machine telematic products in Israel, Brazil, and internationally. Cool. Offers stolen vehicle recovery and tracking devices, which allow it to locate, track, and recover stolen vehicles. Fleet management services. That's interesting. Blah, 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 blah. They got all kinds of other stuff. They were started in 1994. And as far as how the business has done since then, let's go look at how they are on Barron's. Not bad. Quarter over quarter, we have growing revenue. Profitability staying kind of the same, though. Still 16.5% margin isn't bad. Balance sheet looks pretty healthy. Big financing outflow, about $34 million in Q2 2026. I'd like to know what that is, but it looks like they're free cash flow positive. A low beta and a nice 5.6% yield with a low PE. The fundamentals look solid. They've had a pretty good year so far, but definitely had some correction in Q2. I'd imagine this is, I mean, June was a crazy month for the market overall anyway. So I'd have to do a little bit more homework on them. The growth, I think, is probably a bit of a concern. The growth story, I think, is what I would need to be sold on because the market has priced in pretty low growth. I don't know. I mean, it could be an interesting play. There's probably more exciting ones. Probably more exciting ones out there. Anyway, regardless, guys, I appreciate everyone joining. Thank you all so much for watching. I had a ton of fun exchanging ideas with you guys. I do go live every day during the week, Monday through Friday, about 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And if this is your first time stopping in, thank you so much for joining. Make sure you guys hit the follow button if you don't want to miss out on the next conversation. We will be back on Monday, and we will see how things look with respect to your positions as well as mine, and to see what ends up happening going into earnings. And for those of you who were curious about the reasons why I say what I have but aren't satisfied with the answers I gave, I know that some of you said, like, hey, you know, what about this? What about that? I do deep dives on my YouTube channel. So make sure you go to the link in my bio, go check out my YouTube channel. It'll mean a ton if you guys go subscribe there, because that's where I make long form content, like 30+ minute videos, digging through the weeds, going through everything on certain companies. So go check that out. Go check that out as well. Would really love that. And thank you all again so much for joining. Had a ton of fun talking with you guys. Make sure you come back on Monday. And we will continue the discussion then. In the meantime, everyone have a fantastic weekend. Take care.